You sit across from someone who's genuinely kind. They are present, they are warm. They ask the right questions and listen to the answers. And somewhere in your chest, something tightens, not from excitement, from something that feels almost like dread. You smile, you say the right things. You go home and lie in the dark and think there was nothing wrong with them. And somehow that makes it worse. Because if there was nothing wrong with them, then the problem might be something else. Something closer. There is a version of loneliness that no one talks about. Not the kind that comes from being alone. The kind that comes from standing at the edge of something real and stepping back. Over and over again. Not because you do not want love, but because something inside you refuses to believe it is safe to receive it. You tell yourself you are being selective, careful. You tell yourself the timing is not right, that you need to work on yourself first, that you will know when you are ready, that the right person will make it feel easy. And maybe some of that is true. But there is also a quieter truth underneath it. The truth that you have been waiting for certainty before you allow yourself to be seen. And certainty, in love, almost never comes first. This is not a video about how to find love. It is about what happens in the body when love is close, and why, for some people, closeness itself can feel like the danger. To understand why, we have to start not with the person across the table, but with the nervous system that is quietly running the show. The human attachment system is not romantic. It did not evolve to help you find a soulmate. It evolved to keep you alive by keeping you connected to safety. Attachment researchers, following the work of John Bowlby and those who came after him, began to notice something remarkable. The way a person relates to love as an adult carries a strange echo of how they once related to closeness as a child. Not because childhood determines everything, but because the body learns early what closeness costs. For some people, closeness was consistent. It was warm and reliable enough that the nervous system learned connection is safe. I can reach for someone and they will be there. I can be seen and not lose myself. But for others, closeness came with conditions, with distance, with the quiet message that needing too much was the same as being too much, that being fully known was a risk, that love to be held had to be earned rather than simply received. The nervous system took notes, and now, decades later, you sit across from someone kind, and the notes surface, not as memory, as sensation. Avoidant attachment is often described as emotional unavailability, as walls, as running from love. But that framing misses something important, because the person with an avoidant attachment pattern is not cold. They are not incapable of feeling. In fact, many of them feel deeply. They long for connection just as much as anyone else. What their nervous system learned is that connection requires a cost they are not sure they can afford. That closeness eventually leads to loss of self. That being fully known eventually leads to being found lacking. That intimacy is not safe harbor, it is exposure. And so the body developed a strategy. Keep a little distance, stay in control. Do not let someone in too far. Fall in love with potential rather than reality. Stay interested in what is just out of reach. And if someone gets too close, too real, too available, too present, find a reason to hesitate. The strategy works. For a while. Because distance is never painful in the short term. It is only painful when you look up one day and realize you have been protecting yourself from the very thing you actually want. Here is the part that is harder to name. Idealization. When we keep people at a distance, we often fill that distance with imagination. We project. We construct. We take the spaces a person leaves unfilled, and we fill them ourselves with everything we need them to be. Think about it. The person you have loved most intensely. Was it often someone just slightly out of reach? Someone whose inner world was partially hidden from you? Someone with just enough distance that your mind could write the rest of the story? That is not an accident. Attachment researchers have noted that idealization tends to protect us from the risk of actual intimacy. If the version of someone you love lives mostly in your head, they cannot disappoint you in real time. They cannot see you clearly enough to reject you. You can love the idea of them without ever having to be fully known. It feels like longing, but it can also be a form of safety, because the person who is fully present, fully real, fully available, that person requires something from you that the idealized image never does. They require you to show up too. And that is where the body tightens, because being fully present with someone real means tolerating something the nervous system can find genuinely threatening. Not danger in the dramatic sense, but the kind of quiet exposure that comes with letting someone see the unedited version of you, not your best day, not the version you have prepared, the real one. Vulnerability is not a concept. It is a physiological event. When you let someone in, when you say something honest that you have never said out loud, when you allow someone to see you uncertain, when you need something and you ask for it, the body responds, sometimes with warmth, but sometimes with a spike of something that feels like threat, a tightening, a voice that says, too much, pull back. It is not safe to need this much. For some people, that spike is small. They feel it and move through it. For others, that spike is louder, and the body has learned to trust that voice above almost everything else. So they pull back, they create distance, they say they need more time. They find something wrong with the other person that did not bother them before. They convince themselves that this particular connection is not the right one. And they wait for someone who will make vulnerability feel risk-free. But here is what no one tells you. Someone who makes vulnerability feel risk-free does not exist. Not because people are untrustworthy, but because vulnerability, by definition, is not safe. It is the act of being seen before you know the outcome. The risk is the point. The nervous system does not know that. It only knows, last time I was this open, something hurt. There is also something worth naming about the stories we carry about love. Because we do not only inherit attachment patterns, we inherit ideas, myths, cultural scripts about what real love is supposed to feel like. It should feel certain. It should feel inevitable. It should feel like finally coming home to something you have always known. It should be effortless. It should sweep away doubt. It should announce itself. And when we hold those standards, ordinary love, patient, imperfect, available, slowly built love can feel like settling. We wait for the feeling that hits like revelation, the kind that makes everything feel clear, the kind that bypasses the need for vulnerability because it feels like destiny has already decided. But that feeling, that particular combination of intensity and certainty, is not always love. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it is activation. It is the nervous system recognizing a familiar pattern. It is the electric pull of an idealized image, not yet close enough to disappoint you. Real love, the kind that lasts, often begins more quietly. It does not always announce itself. It arrives in small moments. A conversation that goes longer than expected. Someone who keeps showing up, something that builds slowly, almost unremarkably, until one day you notice it is holding you. And if you have been waiting for the lightning, you may have walked past the warmth without realizing what it was. The modern world makes all of this harder to see clearly. Dating apps have turned attraction into a scroll, into something filtered, curated, and infinitely available. There is always another option, another profile, another chance to find someone who fits the image more perfectly. And that infinite optionality does something strange to the nervous system. It trains it to defer commitment, to stay in evaluation mode indefinitely, to treat every real connection as provisional until something better or more certain appears. The almost relationship becomes a permanent residence. You are interested, but not sure. Connected, but not committed. open but not fully in. And from there, you can observe love without having to enter it. You can feel the warmth of it without taking the risk of needing it. It feels like wisdom, like not settling, like choosing yourself. But the body is still alone at the end of the night. And the distance, over time, has a cost. Because here is what avoidance quietly takes from you. It takes the experience of being known, not the version of you that is curated and careful, the actual you. The one with inconsistencies and needs and moments of uncertainty. The one who sometimes says the wrong thing and has to repair it. The one who asks for something and has to wait to see if it arrives. That version of you, the full one, never gets to be loved when you keep the distance close enough to feel protected. And there is a particular kind of loneliness in that. The loneliness of someone who has been present in many relationships but truly known in none of them. Who has been chosen by many people but always held something back, so the choosing never quite reached the part of them that most needed to be chosen. The body feels this, not always as loneliness, sometimes as restlessness, as the quiet sense that something is missing, even when nothing is technically wrong, as the faint hunger for something you cannot quite name because you have never fully let yourself have it. Most people who recognize this pattern try to fix it the wrong way. They try to become more selective. They tell themselves that finding the right person will solve the problem. They wait for someone so extraordinary that the fear will feel worth overcoming. Or they try to manage the fear intellectually. They research attachment theory. They understand themselves beautifully from the outside. And then they sit across from someone kind, and the body tightens, and they think, I know exactly what this is. I just cannot seem to make it stop. Understanding alone does not regulate the nervous system. Others try a different route. They decide that love is a performance. They learn the language of intimacy without allowing the actual experience of it. They say the right words. They show up consistently. But they stay, always, just a few degrees behind the glass. And eventually, the people who love them can feel that. And eventually, they can feel it too. The wall does not protect you from longing. It just holds the longing inside. So what does it actually look like to stop running? It does not look like suddenly becoming fearless. Fear is not the enemy here. The nervous system is not the enemy. The strategy that once made sense, the distance, the control, the careful management of how much you let someone see. That strategy came from somewhere. It was learned, often before you had the words to understand why. Compassion for the part of you that learned to protect itself is not the same as agreeing to let that strategy run your adult life forever. Stopping the running does not happen in one moment. It happens in small acts of staying. Staying in a conversation when it gets more honest than comfortable. Saying something true when it would be easier to be vague. Letting someone see your uncertainty instead of performing confidence you do not feel. Noticing when the body wants to create distance, and instead of following that impulse automatically, getting curious about it. Why now? What just became too real? It also means releasing the idea that love must arrive fully formed and risk-free and perfect. Real love, the kind that becomes a life, is built in ordinary moments, in the accumulated weight of showing up, in conversations that go wrong and the repairs that follow, in the slow discovery of someone and the slower discovery of being discovered. It asks for realism, not the romantic kind, the honest kind. The understanding that the person who loves you will also disappoint you sometimes, and that does not mean the love is wrong. That a calm, consistent, available love may not feel like the movies promised it would, and that does not mean it is less. That building something real requires both people to be fully in it, not half in with one foot pointed toward the door. And it asks for something else. It asks you to believe that being fully known will not destroy you. That the parts of you that you have kept hidden, the needier parts, the uncertain parts, the parts that have been hurt before, those parts are not the parts that will make someone leave. For the right person in a real relationship, those parts are not a liability. They are the parts that make you human. They are the parts that make you real enough to love. You are not too much. You are not too complicated. You are not too damaged for intimacy. You are not someone who must first become the perfect version of yourself before you are worthy of being let in. You are someone whose nervous system learned a strategy, a very human, very understandable strategy. One that made sense once and now costs more than it protects. And strategies that were learned can soften, not through willpower, not through deciding to be different, but through small experiences of closeness that do not end in the way the body predicted. Through allowing someone to see a little more of you and discovering that the world did not end. Through sitting across from someone present and instead of finding a reason to leave, choosing to stay curious about what might be built here. The body learns through experience. It unlearns through new ones. You do not have to stop being yourself to love someone. That fear, the fear that closeness will cost you your independence, your identity, your sense of self, is real and it deserves to be taken seriously. But there is a difference between losing yourself and growing. A real relationship does not ask you to disappear. It asks you to be more of yourself. Because the safety of being known by someone who chooses to stay can give you more room to exist, not less. You can love someone and still be you. You can be close and still be whole, but you have to let them close enough for that to be possible. Maybe you have been waiting until you were certain, until you were healed enough, stable enough, sure enough, until you could enter love without any of the risk. But certainty in love does not arrive before you enter it. It is built slowly inside it, through the daily choice to stay and show up and let yourself be seen. You deserve that. Not the idea of love held safely at a distance. Not the intensity of someone just out of reach. Not the relief of almost connection that never becomes real. You deserve to be loved by someone who knows you, the real you, the whole one. And somewhere, that begins with letting yourself be seen. Not when you are ready, not when it is safe. Now, imperfectly, honestly, exactly as you are. The body learned to run, and slowly, gently, it can learn to stay.